Hello, everyone. I, Radhika Khurana, welcome you to yet another brand new episode of Lawyers Speak, presented to you by Law Community, wherein we invite brilliant minds of legal fraternity so that we get to peek into their lives and get to know their stories. And today we have with us budding legal entrepreneur Ms. Sakshi Sherwa, who is also panel member for Municipal Corporation of Delhi and is founder of Sakshar Law Associate. Okay, so let me start the interview. Like, this is my personal favorite question. So, what inspired you to do law?
So once when I was in my 10th standard, I got really interested in studying political science. I was interested with various humanities subjects, history, political science, and sociology, for example. So I was like, okay, this really intrigues me as compared to mathematics or biology or other subjects altogether. I was like, okay, let me just do something, and I scored really well also in my 10th in those subjects as well. Once I started reading more about these judgments, also in newspaper used to come a lot, and I used to take a really interest. I'm an avid reader also in that sense. So once I started doing that, I was like, okay, maybe I should give it a try. Maybe I should opt for studying law subjects, and perhaps let's just see test the waters. So I was like, okay, fine, let's just try. Got into humanities. Did my interest also picked further, and after that, I was like, okay, either it's civil services or opting for law. So once I decided to do that also, and I was like, okay, law seems a very good feasible option right now. And 5 years, I learn a lot, make new friends, get to know people, and also understand how these code machinery works. So I was like, at that point of time, I was really influenced by these shows called Boston Legal and Suits also. That also played very good. I think all of us were inspired at some point of time from that shows. So I was like, okay, let's just do it. My God grace, I aced all my entrance exam, and then I finally got into Amity Law School, which is affiliated from IP University One. So I got through that, and then my journey started with my law school. 5 years. It was a complete ride. I learned a lot. Everything was taught to us in a very fast manner. For example, CPC, CRPC, and then it started piquing my interest even more and more and more. I started researching. Then I had wonderful opportunities to intern under judges of Delhi High Court. So I had an opportunity twice, and then I also worked under lawyers also. Once I did that, I was like, okay, this seems like really interesting to me the way I understood, because I had an opportunity to work since both under judges and lawyers. The best part that I had experienced was like I was able to understand both the perspective of a judge as well as a litigant lawyer. So from a judge's point of view, I used to see how these judges like research so much once the court gets over, how they sit down in the chamber, what all books they read, how they interact with the law researchers. That was a very interesting thing for me to see. Like, okay, these people are also studying. And from the litigant point of view, also, I used to say these people study so much for just for 2 to 3 minutes, but they used to study and prepare themselves. That nature itself excited me so much. So I was like, okay, I have to do this. I will do this. So yeah, it's been quite a learning and humbling experience for me now.
Okay, so after doing LLB from India, like, how and when did you decide that you're going to do LLM from abroad? Like, you did LLM from University of Manchester. So, what difference did it make?
So once in my third year, first time I was introduced to intellectual property rights, and I was like, okay, this is a very interesting field of law, which is not at that point of time wasn't talked about that much. I only knew about trademarks, like from an overview, copyright also, and in law school also they tend to teach you these subjects in a very short period of manner, like in a very fast manner. You can't even focus and stop and say, okay, this is the part that I'm really interested in studying about. So I started studying on my own. Luckily, I had an opportunity to intern under a IP lawyer also. So then also I saw, okay, this is very interesting field for me to study, and I have to read more about it. So that interests my piqued my interest further, and I started applying in these law universities. University of Manchester drew me because it was one of the first universities that introduced LLM and IPR for the first time. Yeah, a lot of people don't know this, but it's a true fact. And luckily, I applied in 7 universities, including Queen's Mary. I got through them, but I was like, okay, this is the curriculum that I like, and this is the way that I really want to grow. When you're living abroad and when you're doing LLM, your perspective changes a lot. You tend to learn so many things that you are not taught in a like 5 year law school also. We had only 17 people in our class. So the attention span of a teacher is more on you. Gets multiplied more. So you're discussing, you're debating ideas. You have so many resources available for you, and it really broadened my horizon. So yeah, that was my personal decision to go abroad and study. Was I really wanted to enrich myself. Add, see, in CV wise also it helps. But if you really want to go and enrich yourself, learn new things, then I think LLM is a very good option to opt for.
So you just mentioned that it also helped you CV wise. Do you really think that there is that much difference between LLM being taught in India and LLM being taught in foreign country or foreign universities, that the companies are readily they want to take the students who have studied LLM from abroad or LLB from abroad, like any law subject from abroad? Say.
See, end of the day, it boils down to you how much are you putting your efforts in your LLM. That's a very important thing to note before saying anything on that. See, if you're applying in a very good company or in a very good law firm, once you come back to India, even if I have a LLM from Harvard, how am I able to reproduce that LLM and apply that knowledge in a practical case? That it's a debate itself. If I'm doing LLM from IP and I'm not able to apply anything in a mere case of an IP, if I'm not able to draft an opposition file or I'm not able to draft a trademark application, then that will not suffice. End of the day, it matters how are you applying those principles that have been taught to you. The curriculum is same both in India as well as abroad. The only difference that I find is the method of teaching. In UK, especially in my university, we had seminars also. There was a thing called seminars. So after our classes also, we used to get in touch with our seniors and also our teachers also. We used to sit down in a very informal setting, and then we used to discuss. We used to have a pre-reading list of 7 to 8 books, additional from our course reading. I have to add this. And then we used to discuss these topics. Acha, what do you think? Does this thing happen in your jurisdiction? And does this thing happen? How does this thing affect yours? So when I was in 2016 only, when I was there, monetization happened. So all of us got, my teachers got really intrigued. So even in IP also we were discussing, Acha, what happens when monetization affects? What are your thoughts? They used to question you. They used to force you to think. This is the thing that I feel it's lacking in Indian jurisdiction right now. But I'm sure they're doing something to improve upon, and I really hope they do. But yeah, in foreign LLM, yes, they do have a certain edge over it. And end of the day, it just depends how are you able to apply those principles while working. It really on paper it looks good, but if you're not able to apply those principles, then yes, there can be a bit problem.
Okay, so this was a very helpful answer. So you have recently started your own law firm. So
Yeah.
what was your experience in, like, how did you make up your mind that you want to start your own law firm, and what were the challenges faced by you and everything like?
So I had a very unique sort of interesting journey. And what happened, I had an opportunity to work with a Delhi government standing counsel, Mrs. Amnish Shalawat. She's a very formidable woman. She taught me a lot of things. And once I started working with her, I learned a lot, like more than in my internships or anything of that combined. Once you're working with the government machinery, you tend to get exposed to certain elements also. And then I was like, okay, this is a very new thing for me. And I started from very ground level. It didn't matter to her whether I was an LLM or anything. She was like, okay, I'm giving you a work. I expect you to do this from scratch, research, add case laws, and it's up to you how you draft it. And accordingly, we used to get checked also, we used to get criticism also, and we used to get applauded also if we're done well, which happened rarely, but the words of encouragement were, I mean, it was good experience working with her. Then after that, I started working in an IP firm. I thought, okay, let me just branch out and work in an IP firm. It was also a learning experience. Side by side, I got an opportunity to, there was an opening. Then, okay, the North MCD people approached me and I approached them actually. And I got selected to be part of a panel advocacy, and one thing led to another. Luckily, I ended up being an additional standing counsel for South Delhi Municipal Corporation. So then I was like, okay, now that I'm doing things on my own, this might be a good opportunity to start my own law firm. And okay, I was like, okay, fine, let's just take this one step ahead and start my own law firm. Yeah, so it's been a very learning experience. It's hard work. I won't like say anything on that, but yes, it's a very hard working thing because you have to set up everything. You have to find offices. You have to create everything from the scratch. Nobody guides you in that sense. When you're working under a law firm, you don't care about, okay, I have to pay my employees also. I have to do this. I have to pay, set up my office, files, arranging everything. It's been taken care of for you. But yeah, when you're setting up a law firm, it's an experience, and I'm really enjoying and also learning both positive and failures also. But yes, it's a very humbling experience to start your own law firm.
Right. Congratulations to you on that. So, what do you feel are the opportunities for legal entrepreneurship in India?
It's a developing thing right now. It's not as if like it's gonna start like coming soon. Due to the current times, yes, we do have a challenge right now. How do we market ourselves? How do we convince clients that okay, you should come to us? Because right now, with the scenario which is going on, we do need to step back and think and market ourselves and plan ourselves. Okay, this is the way to go about it. So yeah, I mean, it's you just have to wait and watch in certain conditions. You can't go by the plan. If we knew this was gonna happen, then something we would have done something of that sort. If I knew this was gonna happen, I would have planned something ahead of this. But it's okay. It's a learning experience again.
So, like, according to you, the laws that are prevalent in India regarding starting up a new venture, anything, are they really helpful when you start your own firm or company, or are they a bit difficult? Because for a newcomer, they're a bit difficult, so that they can't, they hold them back or they push them to move forward. What, according to you?
See, right now we do have some areas where we can have a scope of improvement, and there are some places where we are restricted. I mean, I'm talking because on my own experience. I can't comment on somebody else's, but in my experience, there have been certain areas where we need to work on. We really need to work on in terms of law. But yeah, if we consider the current climate, and there are certain amendments that have been happening in certain sense, like you have improvement in IBC, you have improvement in consumer protection. That got thing yesterday only came out yesterday. So in from my business point of view, we do have a scope, and I really hope something is done for that.
Is a current plan because of the pandemic, because all the plans that we had, everybody had, has been ruined by this coronavirus situation. So what do you think is going to happen next, or what are your plans to cope up with this situation?
I can only comment on my parents right now. The thing is that even I've been watching a lot of these senior advocates and these conferences done by judges of Supreme Court and High Court, and the only thing that they people have been saying again and again is to read, catch up on your reading, read about your laws, read about CPC, CRPC. They are very vast. You won't be able to understand this at one go. If you are, then you're really nice. Then I wasn't able to get it at one go. It's a learning again and again. I just read judgments. This is a time where reading is the main thing to go about. You can't say that okay, you can't sit and watch Netflix or Prime. You can do it if you want. It's your choice end of the day. But my suggestion would be this is because I've been doing this. If I sit in my office for at least 7 to 10 hours, at least I'm putting my effort in reading these judgments, in reading okay, this is happening right now. Plus, I'm also running an internship program. So in that also, I'm getting to know a lot of these young law students. I'm asking their thought process. Okay, what all topics are you are interested in writing about? And they're giving me such good answers. Ma'am, we are interested in writing in maritime laws. We are interested in writing in this law and that law. I'm like, okay, fine. So I'm learning from them also. So learn and read. And if you're able to write also, then write. There's a lot of scope. I mean, you guys are doing such a good job right now. And no, I'm being serious right now. A lot of these things are, and you guys are doing a really good job with regard to coming up, interviewing people, getting a thought process across. Even I watched a couple of your interviews and I learned a lot. So it's like a really good experience that it's happening right now. And with regards to education wise, this just is connecting us a lot in a very good sense right now.
Right. So I read the motto of your firm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the motto of your firm was written as protecting your origin story. So what is
Yeah.
the main idea behind this? I'm very curious to know this.
I know it just came out to me in a very whim. My elder sister actually came up with this idea. She was like, okay, why don't you like say protecting your origin story? I'm like, yeah, that sounds really nice and interesting. Let's just go about it. So my rationale was that when somebody comes to you, like for example, a IP case, so like trademark, for example, a person is coming to you to trademark a particular case. What's the idea behind trademarking ABC name? So the person who comes, I don't protect a particular name. I protect the idea and thought. The idea needs to be protected at any cost. If we are able to do that, I think it's a very good thing to do. You need to try your best in providing that sort of a protection. You can't turn law thing into a business. You can't do that. You have to put a bit of a human touch. You have to say, okay, I'm not even protecting your name. I'm protecting your thought process. At least I like to do whenever I'm working with my clients right now. They also come up with, Acha, what's your story behind protecting your origin? And I'm like, I'm protecting everything, man. I'm protecting your thought process. I'm protecting your name. I'm providing all sort of legal system that you also might not even think about. And as lawyers, it's are important because they can't think at certain level, right? They only can think about only one particular perspective. So it's our job, and at least from my side, I'm giving protection. I'm trying to ensure that they remain within the ambience of law and not go against that. And I really like protect the coreness of that. So that was my rational idea.
So,
Thank
what is
you.
the advice that you would like to give to the students who are currently pursuing law and who graduated this year, especially during this pandemic?
For people who have graduated, first of all, congratulations because you graduated. But my advice, see, right now the job market is also hit right now. We have to be very frank about it. And my only advice would be, if there are openings, apply, read, read judgments, read law books. This is a good time to catch up on your reading again, like I said before. Read if it interests you, write research papers. A lot of publications are coming up. Start researching, start writing. It won't, I mean, only take you 3 to 5 days. That also a very maximum thing that I'm talking about. But if you're able to enrich and gain knowledge in that sense, it will be a very good opportunity for you. For law students who are doing right now, my advice, strong advice would be part of internship programs. Enroll yourself in multiple, not multiple only, but enroll yourself in internship programs. You'll get to learn a lot. See, right now, at least the internship program that I am running, in that I'm asking law students to come up with articles and blogs. So once I get review from the articles from them, I tend to read. I read everything, and then I give them feedback. I give you example. I asked one of my interns to write on digital wills, and he gave me a very semantic, very thoughtful. He wrote, and he forgot to add two things. There was a judgment given by Honorable Delhi High Court in 1985 about video wills. I'm like, why didn't you add that? He was like, ma'am, I didn't know. I'm like, that was the thing that you were supposed to research upon. It so that takes time. You have to research, read, write. It's a very good time. But yeah, don't procrastinate. It don't procrastinate at all. It won't help you in the long run. It won't. You have multiple opportunities. A lot of firms are reaching out, starting the internship programs. You have so many conferences, virtual conferences happening. You have to attend them. It will enrich you a lot. I'm doing this because the thing that I'm talking is only from my personal experience. I really don't like to give advice that I read and I'm like, okay, I'm going to implement that. But this is the thing that I'm doing right now. Whenever you have these interviews coming up, or you have any sort of a conference coming, I do tend to participate that. It's not that I post these screenshots on LinkedIn. I don't do that, but I tend to attend them and I learn a lot in that process. That okay, this person is talking about XYZ judgment. Why haven't I read this before? If it's something that interests you, then read about it. If it's something that interests you, write about it. Reach out to people, network. LinkedIn is a very good platform for networking people. Everybody is like technically free right now. So you can just reach out to them and ask them good questions. Nobody will say no to you if you ask good questions. But yes, if you ask them a bit, irritating questions, then yes, they might freeze you. But my advice would be read, write, research, learn new things. That'll be my best advice.
So, how was your experience working with NCD?
It's It's a very good experience. See, when you work with a government organization, you do have certain pros and cons, and the thing is that you have to be a bit patient with them because these people are also government. They're also doing other things also. So the biggest thing that I've learned from past couple of months, sorry, is that you have to develop a certain level of patience and also do your work beforehand, because there are chances that they might be not able to abide by your timeline, or they might run after you and they say, madam, this thing has happened and we have changed, and you have to say this to the court. This has happened with me. This is a very honest experience that I had a matter in Rouse Avenue, and I was prepared, everything I was prepared with, and then this NCD official comes in and, ma'am, this has happened, we checked this calculation sheet last night, and the certain amount is not matching with the amount that you've sent us. And I was like, okay. So now I have to change my entire thing and have to say, because the judge won't see anything. He will scream at me, either he shout at me, and he'll say that, okay, you haven't done the thing. The MCD officials won't get. End of the day, it's the lawyer who's at the chopping block. So with these people, you do need to work with a certain timeline. You have to be flexible enough to say that, okay, if this is not working out, we can take another alternative and let's just go ahead with that. This is a lesson that I am learning with these people, because yeah, even these people are government officials. You have to be a certain sort of respectful. You can't shout at them, you can't scream at them, even though you can, but you won't. That's another thing. So yeah, I learned this when I was working with Mrs. Avni Shalawat. So even she used to lose her temper sometimes, but most of the time she used to restrain herself. Like, I can't shout at these people. These people are helping me. So yeah, I'm just learning that experience now. So it's a good experience.
Okay, so what would you suggest to students who want to go for government jobs like these? Like, how to go about it?
See, you do have openings. Some, I mean, whenever these openings come up, what happens is you have a lot of candidates are there for you. So, for example, for one job, you might have 50 to 60 candidates. Yeah, and you have to be thoroughly prepared, because there will be a panel of officials sitting. They will ask you certain basic questions. They will like, okay, this is the question that was asked to me. So like, okay, recite the fundamental rights. And I was like, okay, do I have to start with every fundamental right? And they were like, yeah. And then I recited for them. You have to explain them in every sense. They were like, okay, give us a breakdown of Order 7 Rule 11 of CPC, rejection of tender. And I was like, okay, wow. Okay, they're asking me this, so I have to tell them this. And it helps if you know a bit of, if you're able to remember certain judgments, if you are. I'm stressing on if you are, because a lot of people on stress, whenever we are stressed, we tend to act differently. You can't just, okay, recite everything in one go. But yeah, usually this is thing that happens. So my advice would be to be thoroughly prepared. Be prepared for anything. I thought that, okay, they'll ask me about commercial laws, but they ended up asking me about constitution and CPC more. They didn't even ask me about commercial laws at all. And I kept on thinking, why did I even study these laws if I had to study the thing that I was just cursely reading? Thank God I was able to remember those judgments, and they were like, okay, the girl remembers judgment. The girl knows her fundamental rights really well. I'm like, yeah, if I didn't had my fundamental rights remembered properly, I think they would have created a bit of impression in my mind. They were like, yeah, this she doesn't know. Maybe she doesn't know all these fundamental rights and everything. So yeah, it's a very you have to tread carefully when you are applying for these jobs, because there will be a face-to-face interview. They will ask for 5 to 7 people will be sitting there. They will ask you certain questions that they will make you think that, okay, you should know the basics. If you don't know the basics, then it can be a bit of problem.
So basically, it's expect the unexpected kind of situation.
For my case, I hope it doesn't happen with anyone else. But yeah.
Thank you so much, ma'am. All thanks to Shivansh and Shivang for this. And thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us. We wish you all the success in future.
Thank
So much
you.
for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you
It was
so
nice
much.
talking to you.